Okay, who's gonna be your first?
Waiting.
If Shannon's been waiting, he should be typing in the chat right now. Here's to Shannon, because he's still waiting.
Oh wait, I gotta take my lid off. Hold on.
Shannon's here. Here we go. Oh, lid off.
Oh, is it that time?
Here's to you, Shannon.
Here's to Shannon.
Here's to Shannon.
Shannon, you got your shot. Here we go.
I thought we were drinking.
And with that,
Not Jaeger. Oh, I gotta remind myself that's not Jaeger.
With that, can somebody welcome people besides me?
Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. The LDA podcast proudly presents to you Suck Our Dick. We'd like to welcome you tonight to another rousing episode of Suck Our Dick. And if you'd like
and if you would like to participate in Suck Our Dick, we have a Cash App. We'll take that,
Okay, I think I'm in the wrong podcast.
Oh God. Okay. All right. Everybody eat a Snickers or smokable or take another shot or something. We'll get back to normal. So we're gonna talk about crazy ass shit.
Ass shit.
Just crazy ass shit today.
How many of my exes do you know?
Oh.
All right. I'm gonna start this off because
wait, Kenny. I wanted to tell my story first. Remember?
Oh, go for it. Yeah.
So last week on my podcast I told you guys the story of my Marine son getting stuck or hiding in dryer.
Yeah.
Okay, so I talked to him this week.
Was you mad you told us that?
No, just the opposite. First of all, he said it is his honor to serve. He thanked you for your kind words. And then he said, if they write a story about my life, that dryer story will be in chapter 2. Okay.
So he didn't get mad. He's like, she made me famous.
Yeah. So,
Yep,
anyway, I'm sorry, Kenny. Go ahead.
No worries. Daniel, are you live on yours just to make sure? We're live on everybody's.
Maybe.
Yeah,
maybe not.
I don't know. I mean, I told it to, but I haven't checked it to see.
Oh, that's cool. Shannon, is there people there? Don't look at me. I can't see. All right, so I had no idea what we were going to talk about today, but yesterday I mentioned something, and I go, Jesus, I was asking, what do you think? Do you think this is a disgruntled Alaska Airlines employee or a terror thing, right? Alaska Airline employee in Washington who is off duty. He's just getting a ride back to San Francisco, right? So he's just sitting in one of them extra seats in the cabin, right? Because he's an Alaska Airlines pilot anyway, right? So he decides, he starts yanking to shut the engines down mid-flight. The emergency land him in Florida. He's busted. Right. He is charged with attempted murder, but
of 80 people.
Of 80 people. Now, here's where it gets fun, boys and girls and children of all ages who are not allowed to listen to our podcast because it says 18 and over. But in a stunning, acknowledgement, the pilot charged with trying to shut off the plane engines told authorities that he felt like he was suffering a nervous breakdown and was not okay. You want to know why? Homeboy did some shrooms.
Oh, that'll do it. That'll do it.
Yeah, I pulled both emergency shutoff handles because I thought I was dreaming and I just wanted to wake up.
You know, it's because of people like that. We just can't have fucking nut and knives, can we?
Right? The night. I tell you, man. Oh my! Yes, seriously, Paris.
I had not heard that. I hadn't heard the shrooms part.
Oh, you can believe Kenny. He gonna sniff that part of the conversation.
He was on psychedelic. Suspect was allegedly on psychedelic mushrooms when he tried disabling the engine. He told the FBI that he consumed mushrooms prior to attempting to disable the engines on the plane. Yeah.
God. Are you kidding?
If y'all have heard me say it once, you've heard me say it 1,000 times. If you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
Yeah. Fuck around and find out, man.
Fuck around and find out.
For anybody who has ever contemplated or maybe tried any things of these, these or other natures, there's always this thing, put yourself in a really good place, make sure you're in a happy spot.
Yeah.
Not in an
wait a minute. I'll finish say we're still talking about an airplane. I was like, if you're going to hijack an airplane, make sure you do it sober and in a happy place.
Yeah. Well, not that we condone that.
Not right?
Because we do not.
Yep. Oh my God. Yeah.
I don't. I neither condone nor non-condone anything. What a grown-ass human being chooses to do with their time is on them. However, actions have consequences.
I condone ingesting certain things. I don't condone doing certain things while ingesting certain.
Oh Lord!
And that is like, dude, I heard of some people doing some dumb shit, but that one was like top level.
My mom, back in the day, she was telling me about in Florida when she was living there at the time. They had this. It was one of the old wooden roller coasters, and it wasn't a car you sat in and a bar that covers you. It was like a fucking carousel horse. You just held the fuck on.
Yeah.
She, in her young party days, takes like a double dip of acid. And then gets on that thing. And
Your
I was
mom
like,
did?
Yes.
Your
and
mom.
I was like, my mother, yes, my crazy ass mother. And I was like, and you came back from that? I was like, I couldn't have done that. She'll tell, in her day, she like me, man. She got a certain age and she tried everything once, twice. She liked it. She's been a pothead since she was 10 or whatever, but she tells this funny story about the old timers. They would sit on the porch and stuff and smoke cigarettes after dinner, and they'd throw the butts out in the yard. And her and her friend Pearl and Millie would run through the yard barefoot and snag those cigarette butts with their toes as they went by and run around back.
Ew.
And smoke the cigarette.
Oh well, yeah.
That way you didn't get caught bending over trying to take it.
Right.
Yeah.
You gonna get your ass. Yeah.
But yeah, she was like, she would talk about all kinds of crazy shit they used to do back in the day when they were tripping. I'm like, not me. No, I need to be in a very controlled environment. You don't need me on a roller coaster tripping.
We used to take Sharpies with us when we were
tripping.
Adam? We took Sharpies with us when we were tripping because you always see something like in this. It's like one of them textured ceilings, and you're like, oh, I see something in there, and it looks like this. Well, we'd be fine. We'd take a Sharpie and then draw it on the ceiling the next day. Be like, yeah, it kind of does look like Bart Simpson, doesn't it?
When in reality, it's a couple of squiggly lines on a dot.
Yeah. Well, not to play the innocent one, but you guys have amazing lives.
Madam. Mitch, good to see you. Paris.
I have not experienced that.
Shannon.
What, tripping? I shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Listen, you be careful. I tripped and hurt my knee, so you got to be careful, kids.
Right.
I'm not talking about tripping like we're old and we trip and fall. I'm talking about tripping drug tripping.
I did trip and climb a university scoreboard at the football stadium.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Like Spider-Man, dude.
That'd be fun. We used to trip and go when I was in
I'm going to call B1.
When I was in Southern
It doesn't matter.
When I was in Southern California,
I got witnesses.
We would go to the Griffith Park Observatory, right? We would go to the
second time I ever did that. The first time involved some bed sheets and this girl that, oh my God, I'm sorry, Kenny, I hate to interrupt you.
No,
the first time I did this was at my own high school, and a buddy of mine who still to this day comes and does some work in our shop every once in a while because he knows the people I work with, blah, blah. Anyway, he had been trying to be the good guy and he was saving everything for marriage, had bought her a ring and a whole 9 yards. And she dumped him because he wouldn't fuck her. So he got upset and I helped him scale the high school gym. And then on our high school gym, there's these big, wide yet flat at the same time ductwork panels. Yeah. And we scaled those motherfuckers and hung bed sheets that could be seen for about 30 miles away that said such and such is a whore. Yeah. So I grew that climbing trees and climbing shit. That was always kind of my thing when I was a kid. So
you called her a whore?
I did not. I didn't paint the sign. I just hung
The
it.
sheets
I thought you
The
did.
sheets are to blame.
The sheet
in this
said it
case.
right.
Oh,
It spelled it out.
yeah.
We hung it from the top of the rafters in that gym,
Okay.
above that
Yeah.
gym. You could
This
see
is what
it for
happens when you.
miles.
This is what happens when you put a marker in the dryer with the sheet. It just spells out random things like that.
Yeah,
And you
I
hang them out.
understand
You
that.
hang them out to
Yeah.
dry. Next thing you
Yeah.
know, your neighbors are telling you.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what?
And to this day, I feel bad because he knew how
Yeah.
my father was. That was like one of the only times as a teenager I got to get out of the house, and that was I snuck out in the middle of the night. He knew how my dad was, and that it would probably be a hospital visit for me, and he took the entire fall for that. And he and I talked about that not too terribly long ago, and because I've carried some guilt with me over that for a long time.
Oh, Daniel.
And I
really?
have taken the fall for many other people in life. I have paid
Good.
that debt.
See, karma.
I have paid that debt back many a time.
Yeah.
But in that
Karma.
particular instance, because his dad didn't give a shit, and he knew my dad was probably going to break my arms or my legs or something like
Yeah.
that. And and if it hadn't have been for his little brother, nobody would ever known.
Mhm.
A little motherfucker squealed on him.
Oh, bro.
Okay,
All right.
can I? Oh, go ahead, Kenny.
I was
Go
I
ahead.
was going to ask you, D, because I'm not even. If he can bring up what he did in high school, I can't because I don't know what the statute of limitations is yet. But I'm just saying, were you crazy at your
Super
high
glue
school?
and-
Did you guys have any like senior pranks that were memorable or any crazy stuff that went down at your
Yes.
high school?
Yes, we did. My class, dude. My class was brilliant. The valedictorian of our class, which I wasn't, but a couple points behind. He's now one of the head dogs at the CDC. We had an absolutely brilliant class, but we were all class of '92. Fuck you. Fuck you. Did we need to turn that shit up? Fuck you. Our whole class, the valedictorian included, the good kids, the bad kids. We retired 9 teachers in our wake. 9 teachers had to retire after our group. Miss Haynes was the first. She was an old alcoholic anyway, man. She would sneak off in her little back office, and you'd see her turn the whiskey bottle up, and then she'd come out there, and she'd be all bobbing her head, and she'd pop a mint in her mouth. And what we do, you ever figure out that trick to make yourself pass out? We fucked ourselves. That's what we did because Rashay was going to make herself pass out, and she did. But the thing is, on her way down, we didn't account for the fact that her head caught the corner of a table, and she was legit bleeding everywhere.
Oh,
and Miss Haynes,
thank you for even
Miss
thank you
Haynes,
for
drunk
even
ass,
doing
come
that
walking out
much.
there. She was, I mean, she was like Fred Sanford. Coming to see you, honey.
It's the big one. It's
Yeah,
the
it's
big
the big
one.
one.
Elizabeth.
And we were all fucked up too because we were expecting her to drop, and she kind of tilted and hit that table, and oh god, the sound her head made when it hit that table. But yeah, we retired. And what's funny is there used to be a plaque in our elementary school. This is no lie, my kids have seen it. I received more paddlings at the elementary school than like
damn, bro.
At least 4 a day. I would get bored, dude. They'd give us, we'd have our class and give us our assignment. I'd finish that and I'd be sitting there. I wouldn't bother other kids. But this one day I got sent out in the hall and got a paddling because I'd gotten my backpack strap and hung it off my cap and like made myself some little paper ears. I wasn't bothering anybody else. I was just sitting there entertaining myself. But that was too much for Miss Campbell. Now, the one thing I did do that I got my ass beat particularly well over, and it was deserved. Miss Campbell had these cardboard cutout like castles and stuff. And if you were a star student that day, you got to take time out of class and go play with the toys, so to speak. Well, this big cardboard castle, me and 2 girls that I actually went from kindergarten all the way to graduation with are sitting in that thing, right? And I had, I hate to say it, I found my dad's pornography stash when I was very young.
Oh.
Was it decent at least? Was it at least
I could decent? These 2 girls were at that. I'll show you yours if you show me mine. That little stage, right? And I convinced them that they had the same thing guys do. It was just an innie instead of an outie. And I was gold until Rashay couldn't stand it. She finally went and asked Miss Campbell if girls, in fact, had any penises. At which point she's like, "Where in the hell did you hear that?" And I'm walking out of the castle going, "What?"
Oh no.
The one time she used to have these little things that she put up on the wall, and you had 5 tries. And every time you got caught in class fucking up, she'd pull one of your little things down. At the end of the week, if you had all your little things, you got candy. At the end of the week, if all your things were gone, you got an ass whooping. And I went in there one week and I looked up there And lo and behold, it's Friday, and I have all my little things up
Jamie.
there. And I went, hot damn, yes!
There they all went.
He walked right up there and peeled every one of them off. But I was that movie Problem Child. That was me as a kid because of the pressure cooker I was growing up in. I was a mean little motherfucker until I hit teen years.
Really?
So like from about the age of 6 to 10, 6 to 11, I was a 5 or so. I was a mean little motherfucker.
Really?
Yes. I was a belligerent little bastard is what I was.
Okay, well, go ahead.
I was going to say I got my ass whooped right a few times and straightened that shit up.
Okay, so the school I went to, K through 12, Baptist school, private Baptist school. I know this is going to shock everybody out there in podcast land. So hold on. This is going to shock you.
Be right back. Well, you do that, I'll be right back.
No, you're going to miss my shocking revelation.
He can be right back. We'll be left front. We'll be fine.
Okay. Well, anyway, we had what was called demerits. If you did certain things, you got demerits.
Yes,
if you got so many demerits, you got a spanking from the principal.
Right.
Okay. So you know where I'm coming from.
Yeah, we had demerits, yes.
Yeah. Shocker. I got lots of demerits.
No.
Do you know for what?
Smoking in the girls' room.
No, I was good. I didn't do
obviously
things
not.
Like that.
You got demerits, so you weren't too good.
For talking.
I can see that.
And if anybody out there in podcast land knows me, yeah, I have a tendency to talk.
Me too. I got demerits for the same.
So I would get spankings from the principal. I was recently told, not recently, like 10 years ago, I was told that's probably why I have spanking issues today.
Right. You know, I told you that
that's terrible.
The principal I had, he is now the guy. I can't that's circuit clerk, chancery clerk, whatever. He's the guy that signs marriage licenses now. He's no longer a high school principal. So from the age of 6 to 10, I don't see or hear from this man again. Okay. 30 years later, me and my wife are getting married. We come in there to do the whole thing where he signs our certificate, and he's like, "I remember you." Roger Graves. He's like, "I remember you, Daniel."
I'm assuming that you two got married in the state that you're in now.
Yes.
Okay. So officially. In that state, do you have to have like a little ceremony in front of the justice of the peace, or do you just sign this certificate and you're married?
What we did, you can do a justice of the peace. I don't know if you can just do the certificate thing or not. We actually invited her cousin, her dad, my mom and dad, Drake, and Alicia. And we got married on the creek bank right down there. Wayne McCullough, who was a long time, my mom and him grew up together since they were like 3 or 4. And he was a preacher, and he married us right down there on the creek bank. And at the time, that land was in my family. Now it belongs to a church down there, and they've been giving us grief about us going down there to reminisce. I'm like, hey, my grandmother gave you this property under the one stipulation was that we still get to use it, you know. And I'm like, I told that dude, I hate to be ugly to a preacher, but he was kind of getting ugly. And he'd already turned my girls off of being baptized at the time. And he was an asshole on the ball field. He coached ball, and he's like, y'all got to forgive me. That's the ball field. That's not a church. I'm like, no, dude, you're an ambassador for the church. You should be setting a higher standard than that. He was just an ass. He was one of those guys that shouldn't have been a preacher to start with. All right. And I didn't want to get ugly with him, but I told him, I was like, look, dude, me and my wife got married down there.
Yeah.
If we choose to go down there and, we're going to.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
You know, period. And and that dude's not there anymore. So I actually need to go. I got to go make myself known to the new guy down there.
Well, the reason I asked is because in the state of Colorado, you just go down and show your ID and you sign the marriage certificate and you're married. That's it.
Wow.
So That's the romantic thing I got
Right.
from my ex-husband. We
Oh,
just went
believe
down and
me,
decided.
I wanted to give Jocelyn her dream wedding, but all we could afford was some
That's
McDonald's and a Creek Bank. So
You know what? That's
yeah,
because you're a good guy. And you
she
know what?
even,
It was enough for her, I'm sure.
I mean, she even baked her own wedding cake, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
We didn't have when we first come down here, we didn't have nothing. We were at the bottom. We were lucky that we got to do. I mean, that was about as much as we could put together with that. But you know what? It was a beautiful day,
Yeah.
and it was a beautiful thing. And I wouldn't trade the way it turned out for
Yeah.
any high priced fancy wedding.
Well, Kenny, you
She
missed my big revelation. So, and I'm not telling the story again. So
It's
you're just gonna
cool.
have to watch the
Yeah,
podcast.
I'm just trying to find my keys.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
my wife's probably got to go to the hospital. Let's see.
Um,
They're not in here.
okay. So Daniel, you had the story about the sheets.
Mhm.
Okay. I have a hanging side story myself.
hit me with it.
So my ex-husband, his name was Randy, and he worked for a company in Colorado where they would go and stock drywall in the different rooms in the houses for the drywall guys. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
Okay. And I we were living together, and I would take him to work and then I would go to work. Well, we pulled into his job. Why we did not see this great big huge sign when we pulled in, I have no idea. But it just happened. I was driving back out, and the wind caught it, and it caught my eye, and I looked. Now, they had train cars that went behind their building
Uh
that the
huh.
drywall came on. And on these train cars were these huge tarps. So you can
Right.
imagine how big they are, okay?
Right.
On the side of their building, there's this tarp, and it is spray painted on there. Randy, the doctor says it's just a rash. So so I turned around. I went and parked the car. I went into his office, and they were having a safety meeting. And I walked into the room where they were all at, and I said, "Randy, you need to come out here now." And he's like, "What the fuck are you doing? I'm in a safety meeting." Shut up. You need to come out here now. So he's like, "Fine, whatever." So he walked out there and he read the sign. And of course, all the guys are just dying laughing. They're just like, because they had done it. They had climbed up on the roof the night before and hung this from the side of the building. And I'm like, well, there's no alarms up there? I mean, wouldn't you think there would be like motion detectors or something? I don't know.
People are cheap.
Yeah, I guess. But
Now,
so
see, when
that's
you
my
say,
hanging sign.
I've got to ask this question. Around here, and I don't know if this is a local thing or if this is a nationwide thing, but when we say we're going to have a safety meeting, that means something different to us. So I have to ask you: was he
Oh,
actually going to a safety meeting?
yes. Like there was a safety
Uh,
officer there. And apparently, when you're in the trades, and I don't know because I've never been in the trades, you have to take like a
oh
safety
yeah,
OSHA thing once a year or
yeah.
something. That's what they
We
were
have,
in.
and yeah, I have to do one for my forklift. I have to do one for my forklift certification, and
Oh, okay.
there's this one gas company that we go do work for every once in a while, and we all have to sit through the 2 hour seminar. And if you it's I know what you're talking about, but
Okay.
it's a running thing down here in Mississippi. If somebody says, "Hey man, we're about to have a safety meeting," that means all the people in the know need to go find a spot because somebody's finna fire one up. Uh,
Oh,
it, that's how you hide it from bosses or anybody that might be listening. Hey man, we're fixing to have a safety meeting. Oh, okay.
I
Where?
I apologize for using the term safety meeting then.
No, I was just curious if he was at a by God safety meeting or if you
Yeah,
were telling
he
me about
was.
he was at a
No.
safety meeting.
No, he was at an actual safety meeting. Yeah. Okay, and then you guys had talked about maybe news events.
Madam
Talking
knows. Madam knows. Sorry.
No, it's okay. You guys had talked about news events. And earlier this morning I was telling you about the eye drop murders here in
Yes,
Milwaukee. Okay, I
that's
was wrong.
fucked up.
I mean, it was an eye drop murder, but I learned, and before I go on with the story, we do not condone this. So do not get any ideas, please. Apparently, eye drops, they used to use them, and I learned this tonight, as a roofie.
Yeah.
Well, bartenders would do it to drunks that they didn't like.
Oh.
Because it would make them blow chunks.
Oh.
Real bad. Like one of those nights where you might quit drinking afterwards.
Right. Like you're not blowing out pieces of your supper. You're like blowing out pieces of your spleen and your liver.
Oh,
and your
really?
And shit.
Really?
No.
Wow.
It just makes you that
You
violently
can't say
ill.
that stuff to me.
It just makes you that violently ill.
Okay, we gotta do a shot before I go on with my story.
Where in the hell did I put the whiskey?
You've lost your whiskey. You've lost your glass. I don't think you need any more.
What's funny is I'm wondering to myself why I'm even actually bothering. Why is this dripping? Why is it dripping?
It's probably because it was in the freezer. Maybe
that's what she said.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It's probably just condensation.
Just a little more.
Hey, the drip. Get a shot of penicillin and clear that shit right up.
Listen. Wait, blue cheese salad dressing fixes everything.
Oh, that sounds like an old cottage cheese story. I could tell.
Oh. Anyway, back to my eye drop story.
And it's not pleasant.
Apparently, back in the day, they used to use eye drops for roofies. Okay, there's that. So this woman was a healthcare. She wasn't in healthcare, but she took care of this lady who was sick. And somehow she got this lady to make her the beneficiary of her will. They were just friends, by the way. They weren't related. And she allegedly put eye drops into this lady's vodka that she drank regularly, daily, without having a podcast. And the lady died. And she stole $290,000 from this lady.
Damn.
Yeah. And Daniel got greedy. So
how's that working out?
Yeah, not good.
As I always say, no sympathy for self-induced torture.
Yeah.
How'd that work out for you, bud?
So this lady ended up stealing $290,000 from the lady who died.
Damn.
Yeah. First of all, I was shocked that anybody has $290,000 in their bank account.
Just laying around, right?
Yeah. But now the defense is saying she did this daily. The lady that died. She would put eye drops in her vodka daily. And I was like, why? That's when I was told that apparently it gives you a high.
It makes you fucking throw up.
Well, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I know. Well, anyway, so yeah, the defense is that she did this daily to get high. That's my story.
If you're doing just enough eye drops, though, you won't have a dry brown eye. You'll be fine.
Oh,
trust me. Okay, can I ask a question?
I don't want to ask how. I don't want to ask how he knows that.
Who the fuck was the first person who put the eyedroppers in, and why?
Yeah, I know.
Because we all have this question about a lot of things. Like you look at something that we eat, and you're like, "Who's the first person that fucking thought that looked good?" Right?
Yeah.
Right? Like, who's the first person who
beaver anus?
Beaver anus. Yes.
Oh,
who decided that? Who decided to lick that to find out that it tastes like naturally flavored strawberry and raspberry?
And just for those out there that may be watching that are not part of our Discord, this is a topic of conversation in Discord.
Often.
A lot.
It make my brown eyes blue.
If I ever go on Jeopardy and they say it tastes like raspberry, I'm going to ring in and say beaver anus.
Beaver anus. They're going to be like, no.
It's beaver, right? Beaver anus?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So you can only imagine. You can only imagine what assholes they lick to figure out what tastes like blueberries.
Right.
Platypus anus. Platypus anus tastes like blueberries.
God. I don't care how, excuse my French, how fucking cold or hungry I am. I am not licking anus of an animal. I'm just saying.
Okay. I have to. Okay, we all seen that movie. Remember that one where the people like crashed the plane and then they ended up starting to eat each other?
Oh,
Alive.
God, yeah.
Like,
I don't want to talk about
okay, so we've all seen stuff like that, right? Like, dude,
No, I have not.
I'm not gonna cross those lines. There's certain
Yeah.
things like I'm just like, look, dude, I'll eat grass.
Stop
I'm
it,
not-
JP.
What?
I was telling JP to stop it.
Oh God,
Oh.
blue waffle. Oh Lord, no, JP, don't curse us. Oh Lord.
You know, though, okay, let's just say the person's dead.
Right? Who was the first one to lick a frog to get high? Who? And why did they do it?
What?
How
It
high
has
was
happened. Look, for those of you that study psychology, it has happened enough in our history that there is a thing called necrophilia. Who was the first person that looked over at a dead body and went, getting lucky tonight, baby, yeah. I mean, people.
Can I tell a dirty joke?
People are stupid. You absolutely can. You're in the right house for that.
What does a drunk and necrophiliac have in common?
They're both like a Bloody Mary.
No.
What? I don't know. What? God.
That was beautiful. I'm sorry.
They both like to crack open a cold one.
Oh hell yeah.
That was bad. I'm sorry. I apologize.
We are bad.
You know
this
the
is the LDA podcast. We're adding letters, but we'll have no Q's or pluses. So forget that.
You know the worst part of eating a vegetable?
What?
I'm afraid
Getting them back in the wheelchair.
Damn.
You're not a vegetable. You're fine.
For those out there wondering why I am crossing my arms, it's because I am in a wheelchair. That's why my name is Hot Wheels.
We got to get you some sparklers.
Wait, but you don't look like a green bean at all. Okay, well, the shirt's kind of eggplant color. The shirt is kind of eggplant color. I mean,
this is green bean.
Like,
you've been watching Captain Kangaroo?
All right. Here you go.
No, that was green.
Here you go. Favorite
Yeah.
vegetable and the one fucking vegetable you refuse to eat. Go.
My favorite vegetable is technically not a vegetable, and my least favorite vegetable is, funny enough, oddly, technically also not a vegetable.
Okay, go ahead.
You can't play anymore. You're done.
A tomato. It's fruit. Yep.
And
tomato is your favorite or your least favorite?
My favorite. I grew up. Tomatoes I'm in Mississippi, man. A tomato sandwich, some mayonnaise, sliced tomato, and salt and bread. Yep. I have eaten hundreds of thousands of those in my life. I would, on a Saturday afternoon, if I didn't have shit to do, I could take a loaf of bread, 2 big old ripe tomatoes, and a jar of mayonnaise.
My dad did that.
And salt shaker and eat tomato sandwiches all day, man.
We used to grow cherry tomatoes, and my grandfather had like a green thumb like nobody's business. The cherry tomatoes, he had to build a trellis over the sidewalk because they grew so big and down into the neighbor's yard. And as kids, we would just go out and grab them and take the little thing of salt that you got from like KFC or whatever, and we would tear it open and just sit there and eat cherry tomatoes on the side of the house. They were good to us. So, least favorite then?
Mustard greens.
Oh, I can see that.
Any particular green you like, or you don't like any greens?
I like cabbage and I like spinach.
I love spinach.
Okay.
I've gotten recently. I told y'all in case somebody else out there wants to try this. It sounds disgusting, and I actually gave my boss that. Are you fucking serious? Face when he come back there and asked me, he goes, I have the other half of a 12-inch Subway that I'm not going to eat. Do you want it? And I said, what kind is it? And he said, tuna and spinach leaves. And I was like, no, I do not want that. And he convinced me to try it. And that shit is fucking fire, dude. That shit is fucking fire. I couldn't believe it. That first bite, I was like, but it
actually
It's pretty fucking good.
Nicer. It's nicer than when they put the shredded lettuce in it. I'll just put it that way.
I agree. With the tuna, I agree. It goes with it better than lettuce. Yes, if you're having your sandwich dressed.
All right, yours, Wheels.
Okay, so I have a question. Is a mushroom a vegetable?
No.
And according to that pilot, he should use that defense right now. I was just
a legal mushroom. A legal mushroom.
Oh, okay.
It is a fun guy or girl.
Yeah. Okay, that's why I asked. Okay, so putting mushrooms to the side.
Okay.
Being from Iowa, corn is my favorite.
I got to ask you this since you're from Iowa. Here, sweet corn, sweet cream corn, straight off the cob, or corn on the cob. Like, I can remember Sunday afternoons, they had this big pot, and they would do nothing but boil corn on the cob, dude. And we'd all sit down about 4 or 5 years to corn on the cob and tear that. Is corn on the cob a thing up there in Iowa?
I am going to answer that question with this story.
Uh-oh.
I hate this because my best friend calls me a hick. And I don't feel like I'm a hick. But then shit like this comes up and I'm like, fuck, I'm a hick.
Okay, here we go. Get your hickness out. Do we need a shot for this hickness?
No. Okay. Yeah, we do actually.
All right. Get your shots ready. We got a hick shot coming up. Hey, this might work if I don't get drunk before the podcast. See? I'm still pretty sober right now. And I have time to go.
I have time to go.
I could be drunk by the end instead of by the beginning. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Deuces. Oh, whiskey.
Okay.
Oh, whiskey good.
So, the longer you know me, the more you will understand this. The big event in Iowa every year is the Iowa State Fair.
Thank you, Shannon. Cheers.
And when I say the big event, I mean that the entire state, and I'm not exaggerating, the entire state turns out for the Iowa State Fair. They have a corn feed where they have this huge, I mean, it is huge barrel, and they fill that son of a gun with water, and they boil corn on the cob, and people line up for down the street, around the corner, and back again for free corn.
Dude,
yes. All of our corn is, not all of it. Well, yeah, all of it is on the cob. Now,
my mama don't even have teeth no more, and she can gum the fuck out of it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. People in Iowa know how to eat corn, let me tell you. And I don't remember where I was going with. Oh, now women will cut the corn off the cob and can it for the winter time.
Right.
But no, you eat corn on the cob.
Yep.
And I have never had any other corn in any state, and I have traveled to the 48 continental states. I have never found corn better than what's in Iowa.
Do y'all do? We occasionally down here, of course, corn gets put in with the crawfish bowls and all that other kind of stuff.
Right.
But I can't do that because I'm allergic. But like for those of us that grill and stuff, corn on the cob done on the grill is pretty sick
I was gonna mention that because I want you to get to your least favorite as well too. But for when you mentioned when you mentioned the corn on the cob, there's 2 ways. My grandma would boil it, okay, and that's how she did it. A little vinegar in the water. She said kept the color nicer on the corn when she would do it, and it always had butter, salt, and pepper, and that was that. And we tried to get the sweetest corn possible. Up here, my wife actually, when she does it, we put it on the barbecue, and I used to pull it back and pull all the hairs out.
Yeah.
No, my wife throws the whole thing on whole.
Yeah, because it could burn off.
And it gets wet inside, and then she pulls it off, and then she pulls the hairs back, and then afterwards throws butter in and puts the husks back over it and sticks it back in for the last few minutes and flips it a few times. And it is... It is my most favorite vegetable of all time is corn on the cob, but I can't eat it until I get my teeth fixed.
Yeah.
Right.
But you're mentioning, and I'm like, if you would have seen it, my wife made corn on the cob. I said I was all mad. I can't eat it. Right. So I left my piece in there, and then she came back in the middle of the night and saw me with like 2 teeth up here, and the bottom was going in the middle of the night. I couldn't do it. I had to.
For my grandpa, my grandma, she had this. It was a little. It was actually a fish filleting knife that she had sharpened and retooled, and she could take an ear of corn and go whoop, 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 whoop.
Yeah, that was my mom,
and it would all be in the bowl.
Okay, I don't know. Did anybody? Nobody else had. My grandma had this thing. It was like old and metal with wooden handles, and you put it on the outside edge of the corn, and you push down, and it went. It was a circular thing about the size of your average ear of corn, and it would cut off everything.
It's very similar. It's very similar to like an apple core or something. It just works in reverse. It works in reverse, and it's larger.
Yeah.
Yep. So you've seen those before.
That's
brilliant.
Yep.
I've seen those.
Oh my god. Yeah. All right. Least favorite vegetable.
Okay. Least favorite. And of course, there's a story with it. Acorn squash. When I was little, I was like 5 or 6, and my mom would always make acorn squash with a brown sugar syrup in it. Is this an Iowa thing? It probably is.
No.
Anyway, she had me eat it, and I told her, "Mommy, I don't like this." And she was like, "I don't care. You're going to eat it." Being the good girl that I am, I ate it, but then I puked up my entire supper.
Oh, no. Look, my parents were determined for me to like shrimp and crawfish. There's a Southern boy can't eat, not eating shrimp and crawfish. And every time I ate it, I got violently sick. And then finally, it's like, maybe, right. I was even. I'm like, 6 years old at the time, and I'm starting to be like an adult asshole about it. I'm like, maybe we shouldn't have me eat any more fucking shrimp. How about that?
Right?
Maybe we should get this looked at because they just thought I was being a belligerent little kid. Like our kids, for a while, all they would eat was chicken nuggets and macaroni. They thought I was just being an obstinate kid and wanted junk food. And I was like, have you not noticed that I projectile vomit and get bad sick every time y'all make me eat this? Perhaps we should stop.
Can I tell you my fantasy about a crawfish boil?
Go for it.
Or what you just said.
What did you call it? Right?
No. What did you call it?
Crawdad boil.
Crawfish boil.
Crawdad or crawfish. Yep. Same thing.
We used to play when I was with the Cracker Jacks. We did the biggest one on the planet. It's called the Crawfish Festival in fucking Leland, Mississippi.
I know.
And for me, it was agony. For 5 years running,
the
KJs did that show, and the smell of it cooking is enough to set me off.
Yeah.
And there's like thousands of motherfuckers fucking cooking crawfish, and I'm like, the whole night, but the show must go on, so I soldier through. But those 5 nights are probably among the most miserable nights and it would be like 115 degrees at night. And in the Mississippi Delta, you don't go outside at night. You don't go outside at night, and it has nothing to do with the heat. It's the mosquitoes at night. And it's year long. They have mosquito trucks running year long, and I swear it just pisses them off and makes them breed. But you can be standing outside on your porch at any given time during the daylight hours or night hours in the Mississippi Delta and go, "What?" and drop a solid bloody ball of masso mosquitoes.
Oh, really?
It is awful. It is all the time. It is unrelenting. It is 24/7.
Madam Red knows them as crawdad.
Hang out, people to be in the Mississippi. The only time people hang outside is when it's really cold, the cold weather, the coldest weather they get, and we had an ice storm there, so they still get some cold weather, and the mosquitoes are still out, but they're not as out in force as usual. And it's always a lot of the cool meteor showers come during the colder months up there. It's great to go watch a meteor shower in a place where the sky touches the ground all the way around you, but the mosquitoes are a problem.
Yeah. Okay, so my fantasy about a crawfish boil.
Sorry.
No. I have said winning the lottery for me would be like if I got to meet Struggle Jennings, or if I got to meet Jay Gearhart, or if I get to go to a crawfish boil with Troy Landry.
All right.
Yep.
I love him.
That'd be funny.
Okay, so here's all right. Here's what I would say.
Yours.
Okay. My because I can't eat corn on the cob, all right, I love peas because they're easy to eat, right? Yeah. But I'm gonna get my teeth fixed and be able to eat corn on the cob. So, but my least favorite vegetable growing up, I'll eat it now, right? The one that I found as an adult, I thought I was never going to eat beets, okay, because my sister liked them and I didn't like them. But
I
now,
love them.
but now I get it. Like, go to Sizzler or wherever there's a salad bar, they got to put the beets sliced up, throw them on the salad. It's not too bad. Right.
Oh, it's
but would I
very
eat a whole
good.
bunch of them? No.
Dude.
But damn it, I wish okra wasn't like a loogie in your throat.
Yeah.
Dude, fried
I've
okra.
heard that.
Fried okra is awesome. Boiled okra is the slimiest thing known to man. I mean, if you need some lubrication, by God, get you some fucking boiled okra. That'll fucking do it right up.
This is for Rommel. This is for Rommel. Coconut oil.
You talking about one that you didn't like as a kid? I used to hate squash. The only way I would eat squash is if it was thinly sliced and fried to a crisp, as us Southerners like to do. But she has recently started making like some squash stews and these stewed squash and this other stuff that I'm gonna have to give it to her because I used to spit it out.
Shannon brought this up, so I'm going to bring it up. Even with squash, okay, literally, if you deep fry some shit, right, that's the best.
But living in the South, I have to agree. Fried okra, fried a lot of things is good. Now I'm going to have to make Dee giggle one more time because you mentioned beets. Let me tell you what. Dee finds it funny that I would bludgeon her from her wheelchair for a piece of my fucking wife's peach cobbler cheesecake. Well, let me tell you something. If I would bludgeon you from that wheelchair for that cheesecake, a woman, what I would do to you if you tried to feed me beets, would be far. I cannot. Oh God,
you can't.
Okay, so let's just explain this to people who maybe are watching this and they don't understand. So the other night in Discord, we were talking about food. And Daniel says, "Oh, Jocelyn makes the most amazing peach cobbler cheesecake." And I was like, "Really?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, bitch, I'd knock you out of your wheelchair for a piece of that."
Okay, listen. I'm not gonna. I haven't tasted that peach cobbler wheelchair, so I'm not gonna say that. The only thing I could think of between you and me that I'm gonna throw you to the side for would literally be, I don't know, what would it be? It wouldn't be peach cobbler. No, I wouldn't throw you to the side. Actually, you know what I would do? I'd run up behind you and I'd grab you and I'd push you all the way up to the window so we could get some damn good ass Texas brisket.
Wow.
The right Philly cheesesteak might invoke violence also.
So now this has become the scale in Discord about how good something is if you will knock me out of my wheelchair for it.
Wait, Sean wants to know how you deep fry shit. Okay, look it's like anything else. Put it in breading. I'm not gonna say eat it, but if you want to try it, I would suggest at least some ranch.
Drop it in some cornmeal.
Drop it like it's hot.
Well, I mean, if that's your fucking thing, that's a sick fucking thing. But if that's your fucking thing, then cornmeal will fix you right the fuck up.
So the reason I asked about mushrooms is because in Iowa we have morel mushrooms that grow wild.
Right.
Oh yeah.
People seriously mushroom hunt in Iowa.
I love mushrooms too. I'm in California. Oh wait,
like morel mushrooms, they sell for about $10 a pound in Iowa.
Right.
So if you can find a good patch of them, you can make some good money.
Right.
Dude.
Okay. How you cook them? You have to let them soak overnight.
Is that like
for 24 hours?
Is that like a northern thing? Did they grow real well up there because of the weather? Okay,
yes.
I got a friend who's like right by Canada in Washington, and the wild morels there. He literally walked out and showed me. You could see them.
Oh yeah. Okay, so you let them soak for 24 hours because you got to get all the bugs out of them, and then you dry them out, and then egg, flour, fry. And I'm not kidding you. You can make a meal out of them. Mm-hmm. It's like eating a steak. It is that big and fills you up. Oh my God.
I have just recently in my life developed a taste. I've always hated mushrooms, and I'm talking like in the past year. I finally
Really?
ate some from a place that cooked them bitches. I mean, I was like,
Oh,
I was like, I told Jocelyn, I was like, I will pour these all over you
Sean.
and lick every single one of them off. These things are fucking good, man.
you will knock me out of my wheelchair for
Okay,
it,
That's
won't
right.
ya?
Sean,
Okay.
you mentioned
See, you
this.
figure me out. I like coming
I
up with
know.
colorful ways to express
I know.
Okay,
my
Sean,
way.
you mentioned Midwest. Like, okay, so it is okay. So my buddy who had him outside of his place in upstate Washington. Okay, so
Yep.
we would he grew the other mushrooms, right?
JP.
And so afterwards, there's this little leftover soil. Right now, you can keep regenerating. So he took the
Yes.
soil outside and threw it out his house. Next thing you know, sprouting magic mushrooms everywhere.
Yes. In Iowa, it is the unwritten rule. When you go mushroom hunting, you put your mushrooms in a bag that's got holes in it. And as you walk, the spores from the mushroom will go down into the ground and regenerate for the next year.
See, down here we hunt a different kind of mushroom on hot humid mornings in the shit of grain-fed cattle.
Yes.
In fact.
Yes. Well, okay. I never had
That's a
great luck. I
truffle.
never had great luck getting those kind of shrooms under cow patties.
Yeah.
But I do love them kind of shrooms. But
yeah, I've done it.
You know,
we've gone shroom
I don't
hunting.
think I'd eat
It'd
that.
be so humid, you just be pouring like you're not even sweating anymore. You're actually losing your essence. It'd be so humid on those mornings. But you
Okay.
get some good shrooms if you know where to
Hey.
look. I know a guy that grows them up the road. He's
Oh,
his
really?
hobby. He's a professional. He's a fucking professional lumberjack, man. He's a one-man crew. He'll go in these tall ass trees and he'll start with the top and work his way down and bring these trees down and everything. But his hobby is mycology. And he's got all over his house, he's got all kinds of mushrooms growing, edible mushrooms.
Oh.
Like if you're starving in the woods, look for these.
Oh.
You know, you can eat these and sustain yourself. But he's got a batch of the good mushrooms too. Matter of fact, that's where I got those. That's been sitting on my shelf for 2 years. I don't even know if those some bitches are still. They've been in a sealed bag. I don't know if they're still any good or not. But I've just recently. I'm not gonna eat them. If I do anything, I'm gonna make tea. But
oh, okay.
But I've just recently gotten to where, funny enough, it's a place out here. It's Wapo's, and it's a Mexican / barbecue joint. And he just opened up a real fancy place in town that's a sports bar. But he has some of the coolest food. That's a mix of Mexican food and bar. But anyway, this one thing I got.
Mix.
This one thing that I got was like a shredded chicken, and over that was some different cheeses, and then that whole thing was fried with mushrooms on it, and it comes out in a sizzling iron skillet, and it's pretty much just a fried puddle of cheese, chicken, and mushrooms essentially.
Ooh.
But man, oh my God, I ate that at Jocelyn, because usually when I get something like that, I start handing the mushrooms to Jocelyn, and I was like, I smelled them and they smelled so good, and I'm like, I'll try one, and I was like, fuck, these are good. And I let Jocelyn try them, and she was like, those are fucking good. And she was like starting to pick at them. I was like, she's like, you always give me your mushrooms. I'm like, not this time.
Not this time.
And so I've kind of just recently developed a taste for, like, the big thing down here. Also, fried mushrooms, deep fried mushrooms. That's a
I love
big
them.
thing down here. And I'm just now getting to where I like that kind of stuff. Mushrooms are a new adventure for me in the culinary sense.
Okay, so I learned this. Okay, born and raised in Iowa. Didn't move here until I was 43, somewhere around there.
How were the 60s?
I shut up. See, what you don't understand is funny about that is that my best friend, he tells me all the time I'm 63. And I'm like, fuck you, I'm only 53. But he's always telling people I'm 63. Whatever. Anyway, I had to move to Wisconsin to learn this. Okay. It's very humid in Iowa. I don't know if you know that, but you were talking about humidity earlier. And I'm talking, you walk out of the door at like 7:00 in the morning and you're drenched. That kind of humidity. Okay.
We have that here, yes.
Do you know why Iowa is so humid? Because of the corn.
That makes ecological sense, actually.
I had no idea. I grew up there. I had no idea that's why it was so humid there. So why do we grow corn? Cut all the corn down. It won't be humid anymore.
Then nobody will have fucking corn.
Well, that's true.
That's very selfish, D. I'm disappointed. Really, I am. I'm I don't give a fuck. I'm down here in the South. We'll grow our own fucking corn. We don't care if you've got corn. I've got corn.
Do you guys? You guys don't get our corn though, do you?
No, they Mississippi, like especially in the Delta, that used to all be cotton fields, as everyone knows. The big thing now up there is rice, soybean, and corn. And all the local people around here that still have farms grow corn. There's and there's this one dude out there. It's his retirement. He's got like 200 acres and he grows nothing but corn. And all the local grocery stores and shit, buy his corn and that crap when the season comes. There's we grow a lot of. So I mean, I can't say we don't eat your corn. If I've had to buy corn in the store, which is not very often, it might be your corn, but otherwise,
I don't think so, because I think Iowa corn, I think a lot of it goes for feed or for like corn syrup.
Right.
So I don't think we really ship our corn on the cob outside of the state.
You're making that sound like it's contraband, like you're trying to ship weed.
Right? Oh my God, I totally did. You're right. Sorry about that.
Our corn comes locally because we're in Farmville, like a lot of farms. But I know a lot of the corn from Iowa, because if it's fresh, okay, they have to truck it across the country, right? So because of how far it is and people want it the freshest possible, and you're looking at the most dollar value, the Iowa corn that doesn't get eaten in that area tends to get canned or frozen real fast. And then the shit that you get, if you're like along like Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, anywhere along that, is coming from Central America. And you can tell the difference in the corn. Like,
when you're talking about shipping, you just made me think of, I said my favorite vegetable being a tomato. My least favorite is most of the time a store-bought tomato. A lot of people don't know this about tomatoes. So depending on where they come from, so they're not rotten by the time you get them. They actually pick them early and use a chemical to turn them red. So when you're seeing them in the store, even though they look red, they're not as ripe as they should be.
That's why.
And they have a funny. I can taste that chemical. And I mean, I love homegrown tomatoes, but I cannot stand going to a grocery store and buying tomatoes for that very reason.
Okay. Well, we spent a lot of time on fruits and vegetables there. So what's the next question?
All right. You pick a question. Your turn.
The next contestant on Let's Knock D Out of Her Wheelchair. Please.
Right? Oh my God.
Wait.
Huh. What have I always wanted to ask Danielle and Kenny?
Oh, shit.
That's a scary question, actually.
Sean, that would include anything on the left coast, the entire left coast. Washington.
That's the West Coast.
I don't even know if they sell anything.
Right? I'm like West Coast.
I don't even know if they sell anything in Oregon, but you are required to hug trees or they could shoot you.
Hey, look, there was a reality show talking about fungus. There was a reality show, the people going up there and getting the truffles during a certain time of year. Them motherfuckers were, for a little basket, like I'm guessing a pound, they were getting $1,300.
Oh yeah. Truffles are very expensive.
So it's just like the gator hunters. There would be groups of these guys and they would bump into each other in the woods and be all in each other's shit and tough guy. I'm like, y'all stop the tough guy shit. Y'all are not going to kill each other for a couple of fucking truffles. Stop it. But you think it was John Wick fixing to go down between these different hunters of the truffles. And I'm like,
what's the craziest shit you ever did as a kid sneaking around outdoors when you weren't supposed to be?
Ooh.
I'm just going to answer that question for you real quick. I was a good girl. Sorry, but I was. My parents had rules. I followed every single rule, and I never
went outside the rules. Now you're willing to break them all. Fuck this shit.
See, I wasn't a good kid to my teenage
Pay attention, Jay Gearhart. Breaking the rules.
Anyway, go ahead. I wasn't a good kid to my teenage years because that's when I started to rebel, and both my parents were potheads and shit like that. So the only way I could rebel was to be a good kid.
I got
when I was younger, Oh, that's a whole nother matter.
My parents gave me a 1976 Mercury Marquis lime green car. That was my first car when I turned. Well, in Iowa, you can start driving when you're 14. So when I was 14, I was driving this car. Okay. I did not want to lose my car. I love the freedom. So I did nothing. If my curfew was 11 o'clock, I was home by 10:45. I'm a rule
No,
follower, so sorry.
I
I
was
can't touch
never
that.
I was never good at curfew. And the argument with me and my parents where I'm like, look, if there's something's wrong, you'll get a call. Otherwise, I'm
Oh,
fine. Otherwise, I'm fine. If I'm
oh,
dead, if I'm dead or something, the cops will call you, I'm sure. But otherwise, I'm fine. But I had and it's this curse, and it's the same curse I get from my mother. I can leave an hour early to get to work and still be 15 minutes late. There is this order to the cosmos that just prevents me from being on time for anything. My wife has witnessed it now. She's seen it. It just, and I get it from my mama. In fact, she was always perpetually late when I was a kid. If I had some kind of rehearsal or something, I would, if I had to be there at 5, I would tell her I had to be there at 3, and I might get there at 5.
oh.
Because my mother was OCD, and like, okay, I gotta be at the school, or they're gonna fucking kick me out. If I'm not there by 4 for this event, blah 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 blah. It's 3:45. We live 20 minutes from the school, and Mama decides to defrost the refrigerator, and we're not going anywhere until she's done defrosting the refrigerator. There is no that whole why put off to tomorrow what you can do today. My mother is the most extreme OCD case of that ever. If she says to herself, like, even if she says it, sometime soon, I want you to go check the gas in my tank out there. She means right the fuck now is what she means. She doesn't mean later after we've talked. She doesn't mean tomorrow when I think about it. She means right the fuck now is what she means. She's not a it's like my mother and she, oh my God, it's gotten worse lately. Like there's this particular kind of milk that she likes. And a particular cereal she likes. She is down to 1.5 boxes of her cereal and 2 gallons of that milk, and she is about to have a fucking panic attack. I need you to go to the store. I'm going to have to go to the store. I got to have more milk and more. And I'm like, Mama, you got 2 gallons of milk in there and fucking 1.5 boxes of cereal. That's going to last you for. But in her mind, that means she's the same way with her cigarettes. Bless her heart. If she opens a carton and there's 1 pack of cigarettes from that gone, it's already in her skull.
Right.
I'm not sure that's an OCD thing. It might be a woman thing. Seriously. You can ask either one of my boys. For whatever reason, I don't know why, for about 10 years, I felt it was very important to have at least 6 jars of salsa in the pantry. Why?
Dee, that's not being a woman. That's a sickness.
Is it?
That's an affliction.
Really? So, Wyatt, if you're watching this podcast, make a comment on how your mom always had to have 6 jars of salsa. They would go open the pantry. They'd be like, why do we have 6 jars of salsa? And I'd be like, I don't know.
I can't think of anything that my wife is like that about.
Really? Maybe it's not a woman thing then.
If there's some in there right now, if it's gone, well, next time we can go buy groceries, we'll get some more. But
really,
I'm trying to think if there's anything that we have to stay ahead of bread. We use a lot of, for whatever reason, especially our youngest, she can walk through the house, go in the cabinet, get a piece of bread. And for her, that's a perfectly acceptable supper. She is the bread. When Jocelyn makes spaghetti and garlic bread, she don't want the spaghetti. She wants the bread.
Can I just say,
I
understand your daughter on that, because literally a fresh piece of bread with butter on it is pretty fucking dope.
Now, being from the South, we eat bread with everything, whether it's cornbread, roll, biscuit. We eat some bread.
God.
We eat some bread with everything, but
you were not in Discord earlier.
Oh, the bread thing. Oh yeah, we were talking
cornbread, and I bet you can never guess who was bringing that up.
Yep.
Mr.
Jocelyn
Cornbread himself.
Jocelyn makes a pretty fucking serious pan of cornbread also. And she has to make.
I
And
am sorry.
She makes sweet and salty cornbread because our daughters don't like. I like old school cornbread. She makes some of that for me and her, and then she makes some sweet homemade. She makes good. She'll talk to her one day about what her secret ingredient to her cornbread is. It might stun you. And her cornbread is fucking. I mean, she makes good cornbread. What can I say? That's
Here's
why
to
her
everyone
cornbread
out.
dressing is so good.
Here's to everyone out here in podcast land. Dee does not make cornbread. Dee buys the box of, which I've learned
Jiffy?
is not. No. Famous Dave's, which I'm told is not so famous because nobody
I
had
don't
heard
know
of
what that
it.
is. I
It's
haven't heard of
a,
famous
it's a
Dave's.
chain.
Major.
It's a chain
of
barbecue joint.
barbecue. It's not.
Ah,
It's
I
not
got you.
Southern barbecue.
Okay,
It's for Midwest and the West Coast,
right,
it's good barbecue.
right.
And they have the best cornbread, I think. Of course, I've
I'd like
never
to
had Jocelyn's
I'd try
cornbread.
it. I'd try it. Now look, there's some nights she doesn't feel like it, and when she don't feel like it, it's Jiffy cornbread night. So it's not above her to use mix also.
I will tell you, when I make the 2 boxes of Famous Dave's cornbread that always in my pantry, there are negotiations going on in the kitchen because each box makes 8. There's 3 of us. For like the last 4 muffins, there are negotiations going on in the kitchen. Like, dude, I will wash your car for 3 weeks if you just let me have the last 4 muffins. Dude, no,
Let's
I
try
will
some.
totally. Oh my God. I mean, I'm not kidding you. People, it's so funny.
Around here, not so much at every one I've ever been to, but the particular one local to us, the Cracker Barrel has killer,
Yeah,
killer. This one and the one in Hattiesburg, not so
Yeah.
much. Some of the other ones I've been to, not so much. But the local one to us, I don't know if it's whoever cooks that shit took their recipe and threw it out and are cooking their own or what. But they have really good cornbread. I would try some Famous Dave's, man. I love some cornbread. My mom, one of her favorite things in life is she'll crumble up some cornbread in a bowl, pour some milk on it, cornbread and milk. She loves that.
Oh my God.
That's definitely a Southern thing. Cornbread and milk, yeah. I don't
In
dig it.
Discord, Mr. Cornbread, he talked about that.
I've done cornbread a couple different ways. 3 different ways: sweet, the regular old cornbread, and then because there's like the Famous Dave round ones are a little sweet, they have like honey taste to them.
They do. They are.
There's the regular old cornbread, which we're familiar with for like eating with chili and things like that, right?
Right.
And then I've had it where it's a little. They put the peppers in them, little green peppers in them.
Mexican cornbread.
Yeah.
Jalapenos and cheese and corn. Yeah, that I love. Now I had. Oh, where was it? We had oh God. It was like a holiday meal up at work, and everybody brought their family and all that whole 9 yards to the shop to eat and all that kind of crap. I can't even remember who made it. Like Jocelyn's Girdle Buster. Our owner's wife was famous for her cheesecake. And at the end of my first dinner with them, that cheesecake didn't get touched. And Jocelyn made this big fucking pan of Girdle Buster, and there wasn't even crumbs left in that motherfucker. So she's looking around going, why didn't nobody eat my cheesecake? And everybody's full of Girdle Buster. But somebody there, I still not sure I remember who brought it, made and brought some Mexican cornbread. And it was the best fucking Mexican cornbread I've ever had in my life. And I want the recipe for it so bad.
I was going to ask Kenny. I was trying to think of a way to put it. And the only reason I asked this is because our pastor back in Iowa, his wife was Mexican. And she made Mexican cornbread. And it had like real corn in it. Like kernels of corn.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask Kenny if that's how they make it out there in California.
I've had it.
Okay.
I've had it 2 different ways where corn was in it. One was the corn kernels, and then I had another one which was a moister version, which I believe had cream corn with less water. When you put the water in the cream corn or in the cornbread mix, you have to put a certain amount of water in there. They lowered the amount of water but put cream corn in. and it was kind of like, instead of bready and like crumbly,
it was
more
moist.
like a cake. It was more like a cake.
You want to get some Southern people ready to throw down? You're either on one side of this fence or the other.
Okay.
Of course, down here, fish fries are huge. Catfish,
here too.
bass, white perch, brim.
Yeah.
All right. Then you know what a hush puppy is.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
The argument of whether or not whole kernels of corn should be in hush puppies is a serious thing. I'm in the know. I like mine with onion in it and stuff. Like Jocelyn don't even like onion in it. She'll just use onion and salt to make hers. But some places here actually have kernels of corn in their hush puppies.
Really?
I'm on the anti, not in my hush puppies. Now you can get those. They're similar to hush puppies. You can even get them frozen from the grocery store. That's got cream corn in them. They're sweet. And they're kind of a different thing. Those are okay. But if I'm eating fish and I bite into my hush puppy and it's got corn in it, I am not going to be pleased. I like mine with just the onion and the other stuff like that in it.
I'm just going to say this, and I am allowed to say this because being from Iowa, I'm an expert on corn. Cream corn, nasty as shit. That is not corn.
My grandma used to make it herself, homemade cream corn, where she cooked the corn down.
Okay, we need to find another subject because we've been talking about corn and cornbread for and this is not an Iowa podcast.
You've heard me say more than once, cornbread.
Yeah, I know.
Wrong with that.
It's a big thing in Discord. Okay, they're always talking about cornbread.
All right, what about we talk about titties and beer?
Oh. I think that means we take a shot.
For titties and beer? I'll take a shot for titties and beer every day.
Every day I have the blues. Because every day I have the blues.
Daniel's singing for us.
No, I'm not. I am caterwauling. There's a difference. I don't sing. I can't sing.
Is that a Southern term?
I can make some in-pitch sounds, but I don't sing. Why is that bottle so sticky? And as my glass is apt to say, fuck all y'all.
Kenny must be drunk because he totally missed out on the shot thing.
I'm trying to get my shot here.
We're having a shot.
I actually
Did somebody say
shot?
Like,
I kind of feel like something different because it's peanut butter, but I can't be.
I'm sorry, Ossifer. I am just a little inebriated.
Y'all seen that dude on Instagram and shit? The stoner dude who the cops keep pulling over. I sent the video of the Waffle House one. Did you see that in there?
Oh, I was thinking to say that's pretty vague, but since you told me that you actually sent me that one, yeah, I know what you're talking about now. that could have been millions of different people.
Dude, I'm like, I showed it.
Did you see that guy?
My wife goes, he's so fucking stupid. And I go, I would totally take him to Waffle House with me.
You know, the Waffle House, is that a Southern thing?
I actually am not the.
Red gets mad when I say a Southern thing.
It's changed. That they got fancy and they changed everything. And it's not the same. But when IHOPs first come out,
here.
They bludgeon the shit out of Waffle House. And down here we have what's called huddle houses. And to be honest, they have I can't tell you how many gigs. It'd be fucking 5 a.m. and be getting daylight or shit. And we just be creeping in and we stop by the huddle house and I'd get their triple burger and a big pile of fries. I could take the whole burger and just.
Yeah.
Man.
See, we don't have Waffle Houses in the Midwest. Do they have them on the West Coast, Kenny?
Waffle House? Nah.
Yeah. They're not in the Midwest either.
What I heard about Waffle House was the food is good. Don't look at the floors.
Oh.
Our Waffle House.
Don't look at the floors. Don't look at the parking lot and judge the food. Like, you can't judge the food by the cover.
Do y'all have huddle houses? To me, like I said, huddle house was so much better. And there was the local huddle house out here. This dude, he fucking, on a busy night, he wouldn't let nobody touch that griddle but him. And they would be spitting orders at him and he'd be throwing shit on there. And that dude was amazing. I used to actually enjoy watching that guy. But they actually tore down a huddle house that was very successful here in town. Great food. of course, open 24/7, and they tore it down to put in a Waffle House. And the first time I ever went to that Waffle House, I got green eggs that really
And
weren't
ham?
supposed to. No, it was not supposed to be green. It
I-
was disgusting. It was disgusting. I've never gone back.
I can tell you this. We didn't have Waffle Houses out here. We have either Denny's or IHOP.
Yeah,
We're getting the
that's how it
Denny's.
is here.
We're getting the Denny's. I'm so excited.
But I
to
will tell you this. I actually worked for the food service company that delivers all the food to the IHOPs in our state. And the food is actually really good.
It's very good.
I mean, the quality of the
Very good.
steaks, the
Yes.
quality of the strawberries,
Right.
Yeah.
quality of all of it is
Yeah.
really, really good for just a breakfast joint. So, but I just don't eat their pancakes because I know what's in it. It
Do you
just
remember
has to be the
Shoney's?
liquid ingredient.
Do you remember Shoney's back in the day?
Yes.
The Shoney's.
I love Shoney's.
Their breakfast buffet was the shit. Man.
Yes. Whenever we would go on vacation to the South, we would always eat breakfast at
Red. What are you talking
always
about?
eat
When's the
breakfast at
last time I
Shoney's
noticed
because
it?
they had a buffet.
Homemade
And we
cream
could
corn
fill
is
up
awesome.
on the buffet
That's
and then have like a
word.
sandwich for lunch.
Yes.
And then
Shoney's,
Daniel.
and sadly, Shoney's ain't even the same kind of place.
Huddle House is Waffle House and fries. Apparently, we got called out for not noticing that. So there is.
Oh.
There was they fucking oh god.
Well,
He-
while
he-
you're
he
trying to
derailed my
remember
train.
what you're okay.
Yeah,
While you're
he
trying to
derailed my train.
remember, in the Midwest, we have IHOP, Denny's, and Perkins. That's what we have. We don't have Waffle Houses.
I've heard of Perkins, but I've never been to one.
I used to
Never
waitress there.
been. You know what's funny? Think about it, because we have, there's so much that we have in similarities throughout the country, but regionally there's so many differences.
Yes.
Whether
Yes.
it's the name of a like with my sister, she lived in Arkansas, so the grocery stores was Kroger's. We don't
Yeah,
have
that's what we have
Kroger's
here.
out here. We don't have
That's what we
Kroger's.
have.
There was
We do.
Eckert's Drugs, which I believe
Right.
now I've read said has been bought up by two different drug companies.
Yeah.
That was a huge drug company. And out here we had Rite Aid and
Right.
Walgreens.
See, we had an
Yeah.
Eckerd's. Our Eckerd's actually closed down just this past year, and we have a Rite Aid and a Walgreens also. And the Eckerd's couldn't keep up, man. But we
Shannon,
up
are
until
you
this
talking
past
about
year,
Bob's
and we
Big
just
Boy?
lost our Kroger too.
Wow. Shannon,
Well,
are you
see-
talking about Bob's Big Boy? You said Big Boy over there. I'm just curious.
Don't you remember the big boy restaurants?
Yeah. Yep.
I had a bank. My bank as a child was the big boy holding the burger.
They're an institution in Southern California. In fact, is when we were younger and in
I've
our
never heard of
teenage
it.
years driving
You
around,
haven't?
Daniel, the original one is there's
Yeah.
like an original one in Southern
Is
California.
this a burger joint?
Yeah.
It's like a diner. It's like a
I
diner.
got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
But
I
Yeah.
got you.
their burgers are
Amazing.
fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Right.
They were.
And but the ones in Southern California grew because they were around for so long. The car culture got into them, so they would
Gotcha.
use the parking lots for car shows.
Oh,
Right.
really?
So you could go in there on a Friday night and see nothing but amazing 40s and 50s
Really?
cars in the parking lot.
Wow.
Oh yeah. And
Dude,
it wasn't
there's-
like every high school in Southern California didn't steal a Big Boy at one point in time.
If you're a burger guy, and we got recommended to all kinds of places while we were in Pigeon Forge that let me down, but there's a place in Maryville and it's called Hot Rods, and it's run 50s diner style, and there's probably over 100 different kinds of burgers on their menu. That was a problem because I'm a burger guy. I'm one of those dudes that eat a burger at every meal, and we walk in there,
you
and
gotta
the girls
check it
in
out,
Jocelyn, have picked out what they're going to eat. And I am in hell because I have over 100 choices of burgers.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, but I finally settled on, they had some kind of Southern barbecue pot roast burger or some shit. I think I finally got, I can't remember what I got. And it was delicious. And we went back to that place this last time, and I got just a plain old dressed burger. And it was fucking amazing. And I'm like I said, I'm a burger guy. So
with Bob's Big Boy, they had two things. They had for their burger, it was basically like a Big Mac, a 2-patty, but
yeah.
it had a relish in between called the Big Boy sauce.
Yeah.
And that relish
Yeah.
was so good they actually sold it
Yeah.
jarred.
They did.
They
They
actually
did.
stole it jarred.
Wow.
I
And
forgot
the
about
other
that.
thing that they had, and not everybody likes blue cheese, but their blue cheese, they sold that. And I literally can tell you, I like blue cheese dressing, but not all blue cheese dressing. And theirs was about the best I've ever had.
There's another argument in the South concerning our barbecue.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna eat a pulled pork sandwich, slaw or no slaw. And I was always against. I was always against until there's just one place in Cleveland, and it's a locally owned. It's this old dude.
Sean.
If you saw him in the street, you would think that guy runs a barbecue place.
Oh, really?
He'll have a greasy, dirty shirt. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he looks like he stands in front of a greasy barbecue pit all day.
Who remembers?
Anyway,
who remembers?
The place was called Pigpen
Chicken Fingers,
and his barbecue sandwiches and his homemade slaw introduced me really to that world, because I was in the anti-slaw camp for a very long time.
Really?
Until I had his, and it's a whole nother fucking matter. It is a whole nother fucking matter.
Do you remember Raising Cane's chicken fingers?
We have Raising Cane's here.
Do you know their chicken fingers, Sean?
Well, not here. We were going to get a Raising Cane's. We wound up with a Huey Magoo's, which is also good. And then we got a Zaxby's. But the reason we couldn't get Raising Cane's, the dog died. That place is named after the dog, and the dog died. And they're not closing any stores down, but they're not opening any right, because Macomb made a hard pitch to Raising Cane's to get a store here. And the closest one is in Hattis. Well, no, the closest one's actually in Byram. But every time I take Mama to the doctor in Jackson, we stop at Raising Cane's.
I have a question.
Yeah. About the dog?
I love the South. I love the South. I do.
But
what the fuck is up with Raising Cane's and Boogity Boogity? What was the other one you said?
Zaxby's.
Zaxby's?
Yeah,
Zaxby's. That's a national chain. Raising Cane's is a southern thing, but Zaxby's is a national chain.
We don't have money.
And they're awful. They're awful.
Piggly
Every time
Wiggly.
I've ever gone there, I've gotten sick. Fuck you, man. Piggly Wiggly's got the best meat in town.
Okay. My first exposure to Piggly Wiggly was driving Miss Daisy, because she had to go to the Piggly Wiggly. And I remember going, what is a Piggly Wiggly? And somebody says, oh, that's a southern grocery chain. Then we moved to Wisconsin. Wisconsin has Piggly Wigglies. We didn't have them in Iowa.
That's hilarious.
Best name of a grocery store ever, Piggly Wiggly.
Now, I can't speak for all Piggly Wigglies.
A store. That's all I'm going to say about the South.
I can't speak for all Piggly Wigglies, but I know, matter of fact, my daughter now works at the Piggly Wiggly here locally. And, but here in town, they have the best meats, man. Yeah. And the freshest produce and vegetables. They're just now. The problem is they're a little pricier, but
really,
we don't have
a few cents, not like a lot.
Oh, okay.
Like we don't have half that shit. Our shit used to be decent because it was just greasy. But then California started eating weeds and told everybody kale was lettuce, and it's not. It's a fucking weed.
Yeah,
kale is nasty.
So is a dandelion.
Kale is a weed. Y'all are stupid if you eat half the shit that they're trying to push in California. And listen, I appreciate an avocado and guacamole, but it does not need to be on everything, and fuck California for trying to force it down everybody's throat. Okay,
dude, my boss, I've told you, my boss himself actually isn't money, but in the circles in town, he runs with the money. So he's always trying to eat fancy and all this kind of shit. And he bring these kale chips, right? And he's like, hey, you want to try these? These are delicious. And I really offended him and hurt his feelings because I spit that shit on the floor. I was like, you are not eating this because it tastes good. I don't give a fuck what you say. You think there is some status in your life that requires you to eat this and feel a certain way. That it's horse shit. It's horse shit. This is terrible. I did that. I'm an Irish guy. I got Irish descent, and I did that in an Irish pub one time. There was a bunch of old men in there drinking room temperature Guinness, and at the time I was drinking a Coors Light. And every time they would take a sip of that shit, I would watch them grimace, And I finally, they were picking on me. Like, you ain't no real Irishman. You ain't drinking Guinness. I said, motherfucker, I've been sitting here watching y'all for 30 fucking minutes.
Right?
And there's not the first one of y'all enjoyed the sip of beer.
Yeah.
Y'all are drinking that shit because somebody told you to be Irish. You got to drink that shit. It's awful.
Coffee should taste like beer, or coffee should taste like coffee, and beer should taste like beer. Beer should not taste like coffee, and that's what stout is. Y'all done cooked the shit too long. It's a bad batch. Okay, let's just admit it. Yep. Beer is supposed to be golden and bubbly, not brown and flat.
Actually, it's not. What most people in America think of as beer is actually pale ale, and there's a difference. Beer is actually meant to be very heavy, very bitter. The hops content in your beer, like my boss mates, he brews beers and goes to these kinds of competitions. Yeah. And he brought me some shit. He goes, my wife brewed this, and it's awful. It's the sweetest shit I've ever tasted. It's like juicy fruit bubble gum. Ew. I was like, well, I popped the top on one of them bitches and turned it back, and it was so bitter it sucked my soul out my goddamn nose. And I'm like, this is sweet? No, dude. I learned. I stepped off in a hole I didn't realize I was getting into, and I showed y'all in Discord today that periodic table of all the beers. And shit. He is for real. No, we don't drink beer in America. Coors Light, Bud Light. That's all. It's a pale ale. That is not beer. And he's not wrong.
Type of beer.
No, it's not. It's a pale ale, and there's a difference. It's really actually not a beer. What we think of as beer in the United States is not beer. It's a pale ale, and there's a distinct difference between a pale ale and a beer.
Yeah, it is.
Beer is heavier and thicker and hoppier.
It is.
And
Go to Germany.
It's a completely different animal.
Yeah, it is.
What we drink is pale ale.
So I have a question. I just thought of something since we're on the subject of food.
Yeah.
What is the fanciest food you have ever eaten?
That's why you'll see IPA on beer cans. The fanciest food? I'm not a fancy food guy.
I understand
International Pale Ale. Kenny's looking it up.
Pale ale is a golden to amber colored beer style brewed with pale malt. That's the difference.
I was going to say, go to breweries.
That's what I'm looking
at. Go to a real brewery with your Coors Light and tell them you're drinking beer.
Oh, dude, they'll throw you out of the fucking building. I used to drink Sammy Klaus Brown, which was 14.9% from like that shit is nasty. I don't want to drink a 15 pack of those, but I want to drink a 15 pack of ale. The reason why I don't like IPAs is because oftentimes they're very citrusy, and it can be real bitter.
Yeah.
But I like a red ale or an India ale or any of those. But I have had stouts that I like. Guinness isn't one of them.
No, Guinness is not one of them. Guinness is not one of them. Funny enough, on both of our meet and greets, Shauna brought me some specific brewed beers to try, and one of them, and I still forget it, it's like not Funky Monkey or Chunky Monkey or Funk Monkey or something, but it's one of those you're talking about that's citrusy, and there's actually pulp in it, and that shit is I'm telling you, it is fucking delicious. Hey, really? I tell you something, is if you have stomach problems, something that's great if you can get by the pulp. My wife buys it for me. It's aloe juice, and to me it tastes wonderful. It's very sweet. But I take a shot of aloe juice every morning. And of course, it's got pulp in it. And I done got used to it. A big chunk of aloe, and I'll be chewing on it. But this shit's great. Okay. My buddy, go ahead.
Hello from Wisconsin, home of many breweries. Do you guys have Leinenkugels where you're at?
Not just everywhere. You have to go to like places
outside of Wisconsin.
Places that like cater to that kind of thing, that kind of clientele that want that kind of beer. Yes, those places can get them.
Okay,
but
we have a
just
beer
an average bar, no.
Okay, we have a beer here called Spotted Cow, and it's made by Glarus. I don't know if I said that right. They don't ship it outside of Wisconsin.
Wow.
And when Wyatt went into the military, that was like the requested thing. Can your mom send us some Spotted Cow? Right. Apparently it's really good. I've never had it, but Yeah, they don't
I
ship it
hear-
outside of Wisconsin. You can only get it
Funny
here.
enough, my boss that does his own brewing and stuff, he orders from specific breweries all over the country. He's a true beer connoisseur, right? Y'all are gonna laugh at this, but even he, who's fancy schmancy about his beers, raves about Stone Cold's beer.
Really?
Yes, and I'm wanting to try that so bad.
Which one?
Stone Cold's beer.
Really?
Like I said, my boss, who's a beer connoisseur and is real fancy schmancy about his beer, even he talks about it, says it's real good. So I'd like to try it.
I don't know how far around this was, or whether it was just a West Coast thing, but we had this
If
thing
he's
out
got
here
something
back
about
in the 80s called Gordon Birch Breweries. Did you guys ever have any of these breweries where you go in and they give you a sample of like 7 different types of beers that they brewed, and then you'd get to try them?
In the 80s?
I've done that moonshine tasting, but not beer.
Oh, dude, I'll do the moonshine in a heartbeat. But it really gave me a good opportunity to taste beers from around the world that you wouldn't normally get to taste at your local liquor store. And
Hey, dude, we should do another meet and greet in Pigeon Forge because they have a thing, all the different moonshine tasting places. If you do them all in a day, you get like comped for a whole bunch of shit.
Oh shit!
Shauna, Jocelyn, and I did 3 moonshine tastings and a wine tasting, and we didn't even hit half the places.
I'll do 6 moonshine tastings if they'll pop me a tattoo while I'm out there.
All I'm gonna say about moonshine, and Daniel, this will be a flashback for you. Pickle moonshine.
I've tried it.
I know you have.
Our favorite. Our favorite is still the elderflower, but
I'm an hour and 5 minutes in, and there was pickle moonshine going on.
Yeah. I remember. I know what you're talking about now.
Crown Gang.
Yeah.
Crown Gang, little DP and Crown.
Oh Lord.
Hell yeah. I'll drink my vodka because it's here. It's funny. I get picked on a lot. I'm shooting whiskey tonight, where I usually shoot Jaeger. But I get picked on a lot being a Southerner and not drinking whiskey. And I'm like, it's not that I dislike whiskey. When I'm in the mood for whiskey, I drink whiskey.
Right.
I'm not sure. It happened in college when I really first became a true alcoholic. And I somehow settled into, again, you've heard stories about me and tequila and me and other. I don't know. I settled into a happy place with vodka, and I am still to this day a happy vodka drinker. I love some vodka. So,
can I ask what kind of vodka is your favorite?
This is, if I can afford it, I like Stolies. But here recently, I've gotten really into, and it's cheap Taka peach vodka. You know us, we love peach everything down here.
You guys do.
We mix the peaches and cream.
Daniel, have you ever tried
peach vodka?
Daniel, have you ever tried Billy Beer?
We drink
Randy.
Peach whiskey.
Randy's asking if you've ever had Billy Beer.
Billy Beer?
No,
I don't think I've had Billy Beer.
So
Martin,
in this house, we only buy Amsterdam vodka.
Oh yeah. Well,
nothing wrong with that.
That is my favorite. I love Amsterdam. I love vodka.
I love Tito's vodka.
I'll tell you what not to try.
Okay.
I made this mistake, man. You're gonna want the bottle. But you know who Dan Aykroyd is? He has his own vodka.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes in this cool crystal skull bottle. That's what you pay $50 for.
Discuss.
You can pour the vodka.
Discuss among yourselves for a moment.
You can pour the vodka down the drain. It is awful. You just paid $50 for a cool bottle. Is what you did. The fucking I'm sorry, Dan, if you ever see this. I love you as an actor and a performer, but Dan, your vodka is terrible.
Oh yeah, I've had
some vodka is terrible.
I've had some bad vodkas before, but when I mix drinks, Tito's is good. But my favorite is Ciroc. But you know how expensive that is, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I only buy one kind of Ciroc, the watermelon, and then mix that for what we discovered that we call the now and later watermelon.
If you're gonna be mixing,
Lowenbrow?
Dude,
Yeah.
Burnett's is a cheap vodka. And their flavored vodkas, like their peach vodka, if you're going to be mixing, you can't really tell that much difference between it and Ciroc. I use Taka peach vodka. And you can't tell that much difference between it, especially by the time we mix it with the Malibu rum and the other shit we put in our drinks, or if we even use rum or whatever we do. You can't really tell that much of a difference. Now, have you drank it? It's awful, isn't it?
It's terrible.
It is.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you. It is terrible. I was just telling Dan while you were away. I was like, Dan, if you ever see this,
Yeah.
Well, I will say the bottle is worth having, but I would dump the vodka.
Why I bought it.
I would dump the vodka out and put better vodka in it.
And it came as a gift pack. It came with this and then 4 Skull shot glasses.
Oh, that's
nice.
cool.
Yeah. So
Do you know how many sets of Skull shot glasses we have?
I know. I know.
It's kind of a sickness.
But yes.
Yeah, Sean Lowenbrow was one of the things that was out there when we were out there. Was Lowenbrow and Heineken.
I remember Lowenbrow,
and the commercials were memorable. Yeah.
So for this and the 4 shot glasses, it was a Christmas gift set or whatever. It was $80.
Shannon, what's that whipped cream vodka?
But you know what? You're never gonna find this anywhere else. I mean, yeah.
Oh, I made another mistake. The local liquor stores right here started carrying. There's some dude about 30 miles from here that's making Mississippi homegrown vodka. Right? I was like, oh, I'll support this motherfucker. Hell yeah. I got home and mixed my first drink with that shit and poured it right the fuck out.
Billy Beer was Jimmy Carter's brother's beer when Jimmy Carter was in office.
You're
and
right.
It had a peanut on the can.
Yes, it did. Yes. You're right. Yes.
Now that you say something, I do remember what you're talking about now.
That. I mean,
I didn't a minute ago.
Huh.
That is hilarious.
And I just want to say, if there's anybody out there that I don't even know what the company is that you would work for, but if you feel in your heart that you need to bring Zima back for a limited time,
I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to agree with you, Sean, on Milwaukee's best. But
I gotta tell you, do-rag in there somewhere.
I got to tell you, Sean, I was in Knoxville watching Upchurch in concert, and
why'd you have to do that?
The price they were charging for the beers, I was like, this is crazy.
Peer pressure.
So I bought some fucking PBR. Hell yeah.
Okay. Did somebody say that they drink Old Milwaukee?
I've drank the Beast.
We live in Milwaukee, and we don't even like that shit.
Sean says he hated Old Milwaukee and PBR. But
hey, you get fucking drunk enough,
no.
That Natty Light tastes good.
Listen, Sean.
You get broke enough.
Sean,
I'm
going to tell you what. You grab yourself a can of Milwaukee's Best and then grab yourself a bottle of Mickey's and then drink a sip of each, and you'll go back to that Milwaukee's Best.
There was a shit, my buddy Mike, and now my buddy Mike, since I last saw him, had a career in the Air Force, and he's retired. He's the guy that I told y'all about, and I showed Kenny. He custom ordered his Corvette, right?
Right.
And now he works at this place that's a mass brewery. It's like hundreds of different beer brews and stuff. And he fucking works there just to do Star Wars trivia and bartend and talk to people. He's retired. His retirement money is ridiculous. So he don't have to do it, but he just does it. And of course, he's kind of a beer snob too. But he used to bring around it. The bottles actually looked like little kegs, and it had a ceramic stopper with a dual little metal thing that would pop off, and you could pop the little ceramic topper out, and then put it back in and we close it. That shit was some good beer, man, and I cannot for the life of me remember what that shit was.
No, I think
very
you're wrong.
Smooth.
It wasn't beer; it was root beer.
No, this I'm talking about was beer.
Really? Because I can remember when we were little.
IBC. You're talking about IBC.
Yeah.
IBC
I
was
am.
beer, yeah.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
That shit's good too. Shit's good too. I didn't know anybody outside the South knew what IBC root beer was.
Do you guys have A&Ws where you're at?
You'll still see them around. Most places carry Barks now.
We still have one in our town.
Okay, so when you were little and you went to A&W, did they come out on roller skates and
Oh, you're talking about the okay, never mind. I was talking about the root beer.
It
A&W root
is.
beer.
It is root beer, but it used to be they started
They
out
had diners, right?
right. They did, but you could also sit outside, and they would bring your food out to you, and the girls were on roller skates. This was back in the
They let
70s.
Sonic was born from that ideal.
Dude,
It was,
I
but
wish our Sonic wasn't so far away because their chili dogs, their 1 foot chili dogs and big ass Coney dogs are pretty damn good, dude. But I ain't
Not
driving.
anymore.
I ain't driving 22 miles to go get one. You have to understand what we
They
have
changed.
in our
They
town.
changed the meat they use for those foot long conies, dude. It ain't the same thing anymore.
okay.
I grew up loving Sonic, and Sonic is a different experience now than it was when I was younger. That none of their meat is as good as it used to be. I mean, used to Sonic for a fast food kind of diner / joint had some of the best fucking hamburgers. Now, I mean, I'm not even gonna get into the fact that they gave my daughter a rotten banana in her wacky pack,
Oh
but
God.
I actually got a burger that had obviously been in the refrigerator and they stuck it in the microwave and didn't get it completely heated. It was still cold in the middle.
Uh-huh.
But like their conies, which was always a favorite of mine, it's like those hot sausages you hear me talk about. Even when you bite into them, the texture, they're made different. They're cheaper. It's not the same thing. I mean, they're not awful now. They're not like what they used to be. It's not the same thing.
I
Um,
almost wonder at this point in time, with as many years as it's been since chickens tasted like chickens and beef had a real beef flavor, if it's just a matter of they've drugged so many animals, give them hormones and all this stuff to make them big, and they've gotten rid of the flavor out of them.
I got to watch this phenomenon in real time, dude. There's a place up the road. The restaurant has closed down, but they were a meat market long before they were a restaurant, and they're still a meat market. And they process deer meat for the local hunters and shit like that. But they raise their own cattle. And when they had that cafe, their burgers were phenomenal. And I would bring people down here and they would eat them and they couldn't get over how funny they taste. I said, it tastes funny because it's not full of shit. That is actually naturally raised
yeah.
beef. There's no hormones. There's no,
Yep.
There's nothing. That is actually what your meat is supposed to taste like.
Yep.
Well,
It's not, you know what I'm saying?
I will say this back in Iowa, I miss this so much. We had a deep freeze, and every year we would buy half a cow for my dad, and then him and my mom would take a quarter, and my sister and brother-in-law would take a quarter.
Right.
And then we would get half a pig, a couple chickens, deer. Our freezer was full. January 1st,
Right.
that son of a bitch was full. And that meat would last us all year long. And
Right. There's a couple. Go ahead.
when I was little, now I grew up this way.
Right.
When I was little, I was 13 years old before I knew that they sold bacon in the grocery store.
I hear you.
Seriously,
Right.
I
I
thought,
believe that.
and
Growing up how I grew up, same thing.
I couldn't believe how thin bacon in the store was. Because when you buy it,
Right.
when you buy a pig and you take it to the butcher, when they
Right.
cut the bacon, it's very thick, very
Right.
thick.
And see down here, like I said, I grew up where farmers and people like if people over here raise pigs,
All
and my
right,
grandpa
Sean,
had
get your sleep,
extra
bud.
corn, he might trade some corn
He's sleeping.
for some pig. People out
Right.
here still bartered,
Right.
right? And yeah, the first time I ever got bacon in a store, it was a very similar experience because I was used to. We didn't even take it to butchers. Everybody around here knew how to butcher their
Well,
own stuff.
yeah.
I mean, we have a meat grinder, and like if I actually get my ass in the woods to go hunting this year, I'm not gonna have to take my deer anywhere to be processed. We can do it right here.
Really?
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
So and that's a thing down here, man. People, a lot of people. What I'm getting to is my grandpa would cut up the pig. He would corn and whatever he would trade to get us a pig. He'd get us a pig and he'd carve, and it would be thick, fucking.
Yeah.
There wasn't none of that. You'd buy a pack of bacon in the store.
Yeah.
Like, what is this?
I know. You're like,
What is this?
well, this is going to cook in 2 minutes.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And it'll be gone, and I'll eat it even quicker than that.
And another thing I didn't know until I was 13 was that they sold milk in the store. Because we bought ours from the local dairy farmer. And
I didn't know
and
that.
we had like that much cream on the top of our milk jug.
Right.
And to this day, I still take milk out of the fridge and shake it because that's what I did
Right?
when I was a kid.
My boss he's about the same age as me, but he grew up with money. And I see, I grew up out here in the sticks.
Yeah.
Again, you may not even have money. My grandma might go out there and cut the throats on 2 chickens and take 2 fresh chickens up there for some milk. It was like that. But I local, right. We were just talking about this today. It's like, I remember a time when the grocery store out there, you didn't go to the grocery store for milk and eggs and shit like that.
My grandma went.
That was dealt with out here.
My grandma
Yes.
grandma went down the road to people that had had a bunch of chickens, and they sold the chicken. They sold the eggs in a little. Her husband made a little tiny booth, looked like a phone booth, basically, where you walked up and you rang a bell, and then she'd come out from the side gate with the eggs and walk up and sell you the eggs through the thing.
One thing I appreciate about our generation, we are the last to remember things like that. We are the last generation. We Gen X, we are the crossover between old world and the new world. We are the crossover generation. We still remember stuff like that, but we came up to where we're, society is different. And like my mama and the group before us, I don't know that they could function fully in today's society.
Not at all.
Dude,
not at all.
Our generation was the bridge gap. We remember the old school, but we've seen all the innovation.
Like the new school, and it's nothing against them. It's just because of the opportunities that we were given. A lot of the new school, I have daughters 30 years old or 31 years old. I have 19-year-old, 18-year-old kids. That generation is not going to know, because
how to hunt.
They're not going to know what it was really like to suffer like we did. Because if you were like me, my grandparents raised me after, when I was a kid. So they were on Social Security. So we got paid from the 3rd of the month to the 3rd of the month. And if money ran out at the 26th, oh, well, ain't nothing you can do about it. And you can't ask for something. And you want something, you got to go out and earn it. You got to mow lawns to get the $2 to go hang out with your friends and do this.
Been there, done that.
So it was basically out of necessity that we learn these things. And nowadays, because parents since then have been like, nah, my kid, whatever, they got to I want my kid to work. When I found out my kid at his school vacuums as one of his tasks during the day, I'm like, then you can vacuum at home. Okay, if you could do that at school, you could do that at home. Right, but we are, and I don't think that we can survive as well as, say, our parents or grandparents could have survived from back in the day.
I tell my kids that all the time. I'm like, what you think of as work is paltry to me and almost embarrassing. What I think of as work is paltry and embarrassing to my grandfather.
Yeah.
Kids these days, like I said, we're the last generation that remembers some of that old school hardship. Kids these days don't understand what the world was like before Instagram and before all these modern conveniences that have made us so lazy. They don't know what it's like to get out and grow your own fucking food, or it, like my daughters, don't shoot Bambi. I'm like, look, when I was your age, if we didn't get in the fucking woods and hunt, there wasn't meat. It was that simple.
Can I just say, if you're a young boy, watching, and you don't like that your parents make you go out and do the yard work, just remember, we had to do it with a non-electric push edger. And you know what I'm talking about, Danny? That one with the wheel and the teeth on it that you had to roll on the sidewalk.
13 fucking acres, bro.
And the 2-wheel push mower with the multiple blades.
I'm telling you, 13 acres, bro. My folks didn't get a riding mower till I went to college.
Nice.
I had this whole 13 acres. No, it wasn't fucking nice. I did this whole 13 acres with a push mower.
Randy.
That was an everyday part of my life during certain times of the year. And as soon as I was done with one side of the yard, it was time to start on the other side of the yard again.
Can I?
Plus, I was cutting grass for everybody else for money.
Yeah, go for it.
Go ahead.
Can I get on my soapbox a little bit here?
For sure.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, So I was watching the national news tonight because Kenny and I had spoken earlier about what we were going to talk about tonight.
Oh.
And he said news events, current stuff, blah, 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 blah. So I thought, well, I better watch the national news then so I know what happened today.
Oh, Lord, what happened? I'm afraid.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm afraid, though.
Harvard Graduate School of Education did a research study. It was called Making Caring Common Project. Okay? You can go look this up on the internet. They did a research study. This is what they found. 18 to 25-year-olds. They are 2 times more likely than 14 to 17-year-olds to suffer from anxiety and depression.
Dude, how the fuck can you
Just
possibly
wait, let me finish. So they interviewed these 18 to 25-year-olds about the results of this study.
Thank you, Red.
They interviewed 3 of them.
3 people.
The first one said,
So good to me.
Hey. Stop. Pay attention to the camera.
Sorry.
Okay.
interviewed three of these people. The first one said,
Gotcha.
it's just so stressful to pay bills.
Dude, what bills you pay in your phone bill?
Wait. Second one. I am just so, my doctor says I suffer from anxiety because I'm having a hard time finding a place to live that I can afford.
Okay. Yep.
Third one. I just can't find a job in my field, and I don't want to work for Starbucks or Walmart.
You're 18. What field are you
What
in, you
the
fucking
fuck
idiot?
happened to this generation?
Listen.
Wait,
Daniel,
just let me finish. I'm
both
almost done. Just let me finish. So they asked these 3 people, why do you think your generation is like this? We suffer from loneliness. Get off the fucking computer and go out to a bar.
Meet some fucking people.
Join a band. Fucking, I don't
Look,
know.
Exactly.
My cousin, if you come over to his house to visit him and he catches you on your phone, he'll throw you out. He's like,
ask her if she's ready for Halloween next week.
Hey, come here. They're asking questions. They want to know if you're going to join us and if you're ready for Halloween next week.
Yes.
For Halloween. Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh,
yes, that's a yes. A maybe isn't a no. That's a yes.
It's not a no.
They're saying a maybe is not a no.
Right.
Hold on.
Shannon. Yes, listen.
Jocelyn, I have heard about your Halloween costumes and that they're epic. So
we're all going to be in costume. Nobody's going to really know who we are unless they're our followers. But otherwise, YouTube can't pin anything on me at this point in time. So I say let's have fun.
Yeah.
I don't know how epic my costume will be this year, but we'll see.
I'm just
I've heard.
Okay. If you know who he is, cool. If you don't, it's okay. Go look him up. Earl Dibbles Jr. That's who I'm going as.
I love Earl Dibbles Jr.
Okay.
Overalls, a wife beater, cowboy boots, and a yee hat. Might need a shotgun.
And I'm going to be a cowgirl.
Hell yeah.
And my costume has already been approved by Red. So
nice. I'll figure out what I'm going to do.
This is true. This is true. Life was much harder back in the day, Randy. Well, we would appreciate it if you would join us because it is a really cool holiday. And if he has to be with us anyway, you might as well be with him to help him have fun.
Yeah.
And help all of us have fun.
We'll see.
All right.
It's not a no. It's not a
It's
no.
not a no.
It's not a no.
That's pretty much a yes. You go, like if you say, "Did I
She
flunk?"
does.
and they say no,
She
that means
does.
you
She
pretty
looks
much
so
passed.
cute.
She does. I just told her she looked good. She goes, "No, I
You
don't."
know.
I'm like,
Yes,
"Oh,
you
Yeah,
do.
she does.
you
Okay,
know
so
what?
back to this
I-
generation. I will finish my whole spiel about I never wanted to be the old woman that said, "This generation,"
Right,
but
right.
fuck, we got stuck with a bad generation.
Yeah.
I would like to. I would like to point out that you
you've
also,
seen it,
after
read
I
that
did
story.
this earlier today, you strung along the words "but" and "fuck" in the same sentence.
I
Just
did.
saying.
Can I
I
just
know.
say?
I noticed that.
Can I just?
I was
say,
hoping you wouldn't catch that.
We don't have anything
Thanks, Daniel.
personally against the generation that we're not going
True.
to stick around to see ruin America. We're just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying that y'all are soft. And
Yes.
and
Now-
and it's what was referred to as the pussification of America.
Yes.
And so if you want to fight us over it, you can join us in Discord. And Madam Red
Yeah.
has posted that Discord link, and we'll post it one more time. And you all can come fight us over whether or not you 18-year-olds are soft. You
I don't
ready?
think anybody in Discord is 18.
I have shit
Dude, you
harder
never
turds
know.
than most 18-year-olds.
No, they can't get in our Discord if they're 18. So you can't fight us over there anyway. That's why you're
Oh.
soft. You need to turn 18 to fight us. There.
And and our society is to blame as parents. I mean, our society chases convenience today. We had this conversation earlier.
Yeah.
And the world they're growing up in, they're just not required
With
to
as
do
much
the
as
same things we did
much as parents
as a
didn't
child.
believe they were doing anything wrong by letting their kids be babysit with technology, the truth of the matter is your kids don't go outside. Your kids are terrified of everything. They're paranoid. They get easily offended. They haven't
Right.
scraped their knees, and they need to go get roughed up in real life so they can understand how life works.
Do you know
that's
what
what-
I'm going to blame it on? I'm going to blame it on participation trophies.
Fuck yeah.
Don't even
Seriously.
get me fucking started on that. Please don't get me
My
started on that.
My ex-husband, as much of his dick, and I'm going to say dick, as he was, there is one thing that he did teach our boys. When they came home with participation ribbons, trophies, whatever, they got thrown in the garbage.
Dude, my kid is sped. Okay, he participates in Special Olympics, right? They give every one of them a trophy.
Yeah.
They're the only fucking ones who should every one of them get a trophy. Period.
I agree.
If you are an athlete competing to be
Yes.
the best, then
Yes.
only the best should get on the
Yes.
stage.
If you
on
wanna-
the stands.
If you sit here and you look at society and you think we're going in the wrong direction and we're living in this fucking mediocre world, it's because for the last generation we've been rewarding mediocrity.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
So
yes.
you can come over and listen.
Yes.
If you're 18 and you want to come over and fight us, go ahead. But when you're 21, get some crown and we'll talk.
I mean, that was also a part of learning, because in real life, you're not going to fucking win every battle. You're not going to win every situation. That was part of learning. If you didn't win that trophy, guess what? Dust your ass off and try harder next time.
Exactly.
Yes, we are,
exactly.
Shannon. And here's how we're going to wrap it up. I was going to say my point, and I'm not going to unless you go to Discord. We'll see y'all later in 3, 2.
Oh, bye.
1.
Bye.
Bye, y'all. I still haven't hit the OK button, so we're still live. So act like we're ending it.